Quiet on the set. Pick 73.
All right, everybody, welcome to round 2 of the Driving Relationships podcast, where we talk about people, process, and profit. I'm one of your hosts, Austin Conroy, and this is...
I'm Zach Kinch.
Today, we have a very, very special guest with us with a very storied history and career as a Major League Baseball player
World champion.
Yeah, a World Series champion and a Major League GM at the Bob Orman Honda store. So, I mean, this is the big leagues, baby. You got one of the best brands, in the country right now. So, tell us a little bit about your family, kind of what brought you here, where are you from, and
who are you?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm Todd Dunwoody. Obviously run the Honda store here in Lafayette and have been here almost 4 years now. Seems like it's gone really fast. Yes. And met some amazing people. I've been in the car business 17 years. Before that, I played, as you said, professional baseball right out of high school. I was drafted by the Florida Marlins in the 7th round as an outfielder. So I started my career as a center fielder and then just kind of worked my way up. Played about 3.5 years in the minor leagues. Got Organizational Player of the Year in '96 in Double-A. And then they called me up in '97, and that happened to be the year that the Marlins won the World Series.
Super cool.
So hence I got a ring out of that and met some incredible people and have lived in some cool countries and cool places all over the country. So it's just I was blessed with the experience, and obviously there's a lot of guys that are a lot more talented than I was, but sometimes it takes a lucky break here and there, and I was able to make it and maintain, stay up there about 5 years, and I retired in 2005.
It's super cool. And to play at the highest level, obviously, you have to be an athlete. What was it about baseball that was the one sport that you went, that's it, I'm sticking with this?
So, yeah, great question. So, now you have these young kids, they tell them to specialize, and I totally disagree. I couldn't disagree more. I played all three forever, as long as I know. I mean, we grew up playing wiffle ball and flag football and you name it. It was in the backyard. And as I came up through high school, my sports overlapped. I went from football to basketball to baseball to football to basketball to baseball. And I think it just enhances your athleticism. I think I had two full ride offers to play baseball at my senior year football games. So it just tells you how these coaches and these people that are looking, scouts are looking for people. They want athletes, and they can make you a baseball player.
So you would have coaches at your football game recruiting you for baseball.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, it happened all the time, and then they would ask you, what sports do you play, other sports, and that was a big thing back then. And now I feel like it's changed, and it kind of disappoints me because I feel like the youth are getting burnt out on these sports now.
For sure.
Because they have nothing else to do.
What do you think that switch was, or why did that start? Because I think, like you said, growing up in that era, people did everything, right? Why this push to specialization?
I think the wrong people got their input in, to be honest with you. And I think it's like if you don't work at this every day in this one sport, you're going to cost yourself, because you have baseball's huge in California, it's huge in Texas, it's huge in Florida. Well, why? Because of the weather, and they can play year round. So that concept and that mindset has trickled into the Midwest now, and they're like, well, they play year round, you need to do the same thing. And like I said, I disagree because I think you build athletes. You football, you get some strength. Basketball, you get some speed and agility. Baseball, you get the finer things, the details, some of the things like that. So there's all kinds of things that put together into one package and make a player a player. So again, I was blessed with some athletic ability from God, and I think I tried to utilize my drive and my motivation, and I wanted to work harder than everybody on the field. I mean, in the off season, I worked hard every single day, all day long. So
let's get to the good stuff here. We get done with high school. We have full ride offer and professional baseball.
Yep.
How hard of a decision or how short of a decision was it?
Very tough. No, it actually was very tough. I leaned on my parents a lot for that decision. My dad especially, because school is very important to them, and they were going to obviously either I was going to go there as a full ride or they would pay for it. Either one, they wanted me to have a degree. But then baseball came around, and you weigh the options of, am I going to get hurt?
Yeah.
To where I can't ever play again? Or do I skip college and that experience? Because that's a wonderful experience, the College World Series and all the other things that I didn't get to do. But no regrets on my part. I made the decision because I felt like I was physically, baseball, and emotionally mature enough to handle it. And I think that's a big thing with these younger kids too, is are you in the mindset that you can do this? Or, because I was 18 years old and I had to grow up, guys. I mean, I was an adult. I was paying bills. I was living in an apartment with 3 other guys, 3 pitchers that happened to be. And I'm down in Kissimmee, Florida at rookie ball. And I mean, it's like holy cow, here we
Welcome
are.
to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Lafayette, Indiana. I think the farthest I went was Taylor basketball camp when I was younger.
And that's a journey over there.
Exactly. So
Shout out Ivanhoe.
So yeah, so it's definitely an eye opener. But again, I wouldn't change anything. I always tell people, they think, and Zach, you and I have spoke about this before. They think the minor leagues and pro baseball is such a glorified process. My first contract was $875 a month.
Wow.
That's
Come
what I
on,
made.
though. Let's go. We go professional. What's the signing bonus?
The signing bonus back then they built in school. The Major League Baseball will pay for your
that's cool.
schooling, and that was a nice thing too. So my dad felt more comfortable about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously I had enough money to buy a car, put a little bit away. Nowadays these signing bonuses are crazy. Nothing like they were when I played. But it's still a nice thing. Some of these guys, a cheeseburger and a plane ticket, and just give me a chance. And that's what they do.
For the love of the game.
And so yeah, you just play the game you love, and you do it because they didn't want a 9-to-5 job, and you see what happens. So.
What was it about baseball? Because you said you played the other sports. What was it ultimately about baseball that said, man, I love this sport?
So ironically enough, my best sport was football by far. That was the only All-American team I made in high
What
school.
position?
I was a wide receiver and a linebacker.
Okay.
So that was the only All-American team I made in high school. I didn't even make the All-American team in baseball, but I was runner-up Mr. Baseball to Scott Rowland, who, if anybody knows that name, he was a decent player now in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he did okay.
So we actually hit 3-4 on Indiana Bulls team after my junior year, and we won a lot of things that summer. That was a lot of fun, and I got to know Scott, and we're still great friends. But I think baseball for me, the NBA, if you're anything less than 6'6", you got to be Jason Williams. I mean, and I didn't have that kind of handles, and I couldn't shoot the ball that way. Football, same thing: size, speed, power, all the different things. I mean, I think I'm built more like a prototypical baseball player, and I felt like I'm left-handed, and that's an advantage, obviously, hitting left-handed. So I think just a lot of things pointed towards that was my shot if I wanted to make it to the highest level. That was the best shot for me, and it worked out. So
Yeah, you were right.
that's right.
I mean,
For
you
once.
had a 33% chance, and you got it.
For once,
So,
yes.
So let's talk about, man, we could probably talk about baseball forever, but let's talk about life after baseball.
Yes.
Mentally, did you struggle? I've heard a lot of these top-level professional athletes. Now it's like, man, this thing that I built my career on is done.
Yeah.
Right? And then did that lead you into the car business, right? How did you get led into the car business?
Yeah, great question. So I actually, when I retired in 2005, I was with the Twins at the time, and I ended up retiring. And then AJ Hinch, who you guys probably know, he's the manager for I think Detroit now. Was it? Yeah, he was at the Astros. He was
the trash
part of the
can
scandal. Part of the scandal. Now he's at Detroit as the manager. Good friend of mine, but he hired me to be a hitting coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay.
So I coached 1 year, and I enjoyed that. I was up in South Bend at their single A level, and one of my proteges was Justin Upton. You guys probably remember that name. He was a good player in the big leagues, but he was an 18-year-old super high prospect that needed some corralling, and that was my job. And that was fun to work with him, get him going, and that whole team. That we had some successful guys that year, and we had a good season. But I think at the end of that, I just thought, you know what, I'm baseballed out. I had a baseball, softball instructional school that I owned in West Lafayette for about 6 years. So I would go from playing to instructing to playing to instructing. This is 15 years, and then the instruction, the last 6 of it. So I think I just got to a point where it was like, okay, I want to try something else. It's getting stale to me, and I didn't like that. It wasn't fair to the kids that I was coaching and teaching. It just wasn't fair to myself because I thought, I'm going to try something that fits my character, that fits the mold that I think that I'd be good at. And I've always been a personable guy. My dad was a banker for 38 years, and he loved people. He'd give loans on a handshake. That's just how they did loans back in the day. And I think I'm, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. So I love dealing with people, and it's a competitive business, guys, as we know. I mean, the car business is competitive. You want to win, and you want to grow, and you want to help people, and you want to make them feel good, and you want to give them experiences, and just all these things. It's small wins here and there, and I think just with my motivation and drive, the way I do things, it's just you strive to be the best in whatever you're doing. And ironically enough, I love people, I love cars, and I made a phone call to actually the guy by the name of Ed Cadwalder that was over at Twin City Dodge. And I said, hey, and I'd bought 3 or 4 cars from him, in the past. I said, hey, could I sell cars? This is a great story. He goes, what? He goes, you want to sell cars for me? I'm like, yeah, well, I got to do something. I mean, I'm 34 years old or whatever. I have to do something. Yeah. He goes, well, sure, because he's thinking, a lot of people.
The name and
it's
everything.
The name, yeah. And I said, well, I got one caveat. And he goes, what's that? I go, I don't want to work Saturdays.
No, you can tell you weren't in the car business.
Yeah,
yet.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he goes, well, I don't know if that's going to work. And I said, okay, no problem. I'll talk to you later. Hey, man, I'll call you next time I need a car. That was literally the conversation.
Do they not play baseball games on Saturdays?
Our only days off are about one Monday a month.
Yeah, so you were just tired.
That's right.
You
I
were
was
a
just
tired
tired.
34-year-old.
I was worn out. So anyway, I hang up. He literally calls like 2 minutes back. He goes, why'd you hang up? And I go, well, you said you couldn't do it. It's no big deal. No problem. I'll figure something else out. He goes, oh, no, I'll make it work.
He's closing him. Let's
So
go.
I sold
okay.
cars. I sold cars Monday through Friday, and the guys, the salesmen, didn't care because I wasn't there on the best day of the week.
Yeah.
So they're all for it.
Good point.
So I did that for about 5 months, 6 months, and got salesman month the last few months I was there. And a guy by the name of Scott Bond, who was the general manager over at Mike Razor Ford and for the Razor dealerships, called me and said, "You want to be my used car manager?" And I said, "Sure. I don't know a thing about it, but I'd be happy to."
Did you put anything in about Saturdays?
And no, I wasn't able to do that then. The Saturdays came
So
back
you
into
knew-
play.
you knew that you were gonna be
I
the
knew it was
real car
inevitable,
business.
Yes. So I think I praised 4 cars for Ed, helped him, and then jumped over
Yikes.
and came over to Racers. And I was there about, I think, 12, 13 years.
Wow.
And just worked my way up to GSM. And I was GSM of 8 franchises, which that's an interesting job because you feel like there's nothing you can get accomplished.
Yeah.
It's just too much work. And I told them that many times. But anyway, I loved it over there. Mike Razor ended up having some health issues, and he was going to sell the dealerships. And the timing was perfect because for about a year and a half, Trey had been kind of recruiting me and saying, "Hey, we'd love to have you over here. Would you be interested in a job here or there?" And I said, "Well, sure." I said, "Let's keep talking. Right now, I'm okay." And as a matter of fact, it was funny because Trey came to me and he goes, "You are so loyal." I said, "Well, isn't that a good thing?" Because he couldn't pluck me, immediately. So then Mike calls me in and says, "I'm selling." So I called Trey and I says, "Hey, I'm available," and here we are. And the rest is history. But
And what year was that in?
That was in December of 2020. I started here.
Okay. So you started right after COVID's already settling
Yes.
down. Everybody's
Yes.
kind of adjusting to life. You walk into the Honda store, and you came from mostly domestics,
That's correct. Yeah. Yep.
So you walk into a Honda store, and what's the first mega shift between your 12 years, 13 years in that kind of industry into a Honda store?
Well, great question. 2 things. One, dealing with the manufacturer
Yeah.
was an eye-opener to me because the Ford, GM, Chevy, all that is a lot different than Honda as far as the manufacturer dealing with them. But 2, it was the customer. Totally educated, very cerebral, analyzing customer that really reads every line of the contract, has a plan, and you're not gonna, they're not gonna deviate off of that plan. I mean, they know what they want, and that's what they're gonna do. So I think that was the biggest thing, and I didn't mind that per se. It was just a different approach.
Yeah,
And
adjustment period.
it was, and I think, but getting to know the product and how reliable it is, and how fuel efficient it is, and how affordable it is, and just the cult that follows Honda was a cool thing. It was very eye opening to me. It was like, because I mean, there's people who would come in every day, and this is my 15th Honda I bought from here. Or this is my 12th Honda I bought from here, and it's just it's a refreshing thing because a lot of these people, they'll go to Toyota and then they go to Honda, then to Subaru, and then to Ford, and then to Chevy, and it's like, no, these Honda customers, they love their Hondas.
And we talk about, you talk about making the move from domestics, but Hondas are produced not too far away from here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So-
Ohio, Alabama, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just interesting because every manufacturer has similarities, but what I've found with Honda is they do want to work with the dealer, but they also know they have a great product and they have a great thing going. So your input, I think, is listened to. I don't know that it's ever acted upon.
Sure.
So
I want to back up for just a minute because we will talk at length on this podcast about stories about Mr. Rohrman, and his impact. But there really were 2 automotive giants in our area. One being Mr. Rohrman, and one being Mr. Razor. And
Correct.
you had an opportunity to work for him. So could you tell us what's your best Mr. Razor story? The ones that are appropriate for the podcast,
yes.
right? Of course.
So they were actually really good friends, believe it or not. I can't remember which, but one of them worked for I think Mike worked for Bob. I believe so. Sold cars for a little while, and then he obviously branched off on his own. But yes, exactly. They both built empires, both amazing men. What they were able to accomplish and maintain and do those kinds of things. But so Mike was a very attention to detail guy. He would sit in his white Expedition. He always had white Expeditions every year. He'd get a brand new one, and it was always white, and it had tan interior. And he'd drive it around because he had, all the 5 rooftops, I think it was, once we built the pre-owned center. And he would literally look for trash on your lot. He would look for noses of cars and were they inches off or were they lined up properly. He would look at your point cars and your entrance cars. Have they been swapped to make people feel like, okay, this isn't aged. This is all new inventory that's coming and fresh. So he just had a lot, but it's a different approach in the way that Mike would say, hey, Todd and Scott, go make me money. Whereas here, there's 75,000 reports we have and all kinds of data that's involved in the composite.
Analytics.
It was a different, and it was a learning curve for me. It took a while because I'm kind of like, when Trey and Ryan come to me and say, Todd, what's going on with this data point and this data point and this data point? I'm like, I didn't even know that data existed before I came over here, and so it's different, but I like it because now you can get very granular with it.
Yeah, and I think part of that too is just the shift in the car business in general. But
it is.
So back up a little bit. So Mr. Razor, you kind of talked about that attention to detail. Yeah. Are there any similarities between an owner like him and let's say an owner of a Major League Baseball team or some of the coaches you've had? I mean, or is it kind of a similar sort of personality with that entrepreneurial mindset and then like some of the coaches or maybe owners that you've had a chance to meet? Or are they totally different?
Absolutely. I mean, you said it with the name of the podcast. It's profit, and it's giving the customers an experience so they come back. It's retaining the customers, and I think Mike was big on, are you guys doing right by me and my company every single day? And I'm going to put the right people in place that I trust and I know are going to do that every single day, every single customer. And he was huge on the customers. As a matter of fact, Mike, as far as I know, again, I wasn't around Bob, but he was very present in the dealerships. And I don't think Bob was as much. I don't. Was that true?
No, too big. Yeah. There's too many stores.
And so Mike was always around. So he would get approached by customers, and then he would check on things. And I always said it was funny because we used to close at 8 or 9 o'clock at the dealerships back in the day.
9 o'clock.
And he would roll into my office about 10 till 8. And just kind of look by and say, how's it going, Todd?
Just to make sure you were there.
Make sure everybody was there where they're supposed to be. And so he just, great man, phenomenal mind. I learned so much from that man in the car business and just how to conduct yourself and do things and how to deal with that, that unwavering customer that gets a little frustrating at times. But he always, I've seen that man take a car deal that was a bust and gonna go away. They were going to walk out the door. And because of price or whatever, and literally charge them $500 more, and they buy the car. It was just an amazing transition.
Just an awesome salesman.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. And then, with you being at Honda, you talked at length about the brand and the loyal customers and just some of the awesome things that are coming out of, your Honda store. Talk about, though, what is coming up here pretty soon in terms of we're going to have shovels in the ground over there.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Very exciting news.
Rumors that there will be shovels in the ground.
That's right. That's right. Very exciting news. So we're getting ready to embark upon a huge renovation. Hopefully, will be starting to be completed and things happening in 25, realistically. It's going to be a beautiful Blue Stage store that's going to be multi-million-dollar renovation. We're expanding our service department. We're literally breaking it all down and building it back up, and it's just going to be gorgeous. It's the latest, greatest Honda. Basically, it's their design that they have refined, and there's only a few of these in the country right now. So it's super cool. It's very exciting, and the guys are pumped, and we're going to have more room. We're going to have more amenities. I can't wait to be able to give our customers, that comfort and just that beauty that they deserve out of a store. I mean, it's going to be a lot like this one to where, I know the Toyota store was on the corner, and it was a lot smaller, and they built this Taj Mahal, everybody calls it, and it's just got really neat things, mostly for the customers, and that's what we want to do is give back to the community that's helped us be successful.
Yeah, and I saw in some of the renderings, not only are you expanding the footprint, but also you talked about for the customer. Yes. I mean, it looks like the customer waiting area is going to be incredible.
Oh my!
Right there with the service advisors, state of the art, everything. I mean,
absolutely.
I may move my office in there. I don't know. It looks pretty good.
I've heard that more than once. Yeah, we right now, as my customers know and as you guys know, my service write-up area is literally in the shop. It's a room in the shop. Now they're going to have a Wi-Fi lounge and beautiful TVs and things to read and vending machines and coffee bar and all these different things that are just going to be really conducive to if a customer wants to wait on their oil change, they're going to be a lot more comfortable and enjoy the experience more. And that's what we want to do. And the Romans are gracious enough to obviously foot the bill to make this store a wow factor. And that's what we're looking forward to.
I think customers, they'll be like, oh, my car's done already. I want to keep waiting here. I mean, this place is so nice. So
as funny
maybe
not
the case.
Austin.
I don't know.
I actually told somebody that the other day. We're going to have to watch the loitering.
Yeah. I mean, and what's I think amazing about it is at least seeing some of the renderings that it's not truly just a renovation. It's almost an entire rebuild.
It is.
In the sense of saying, hey, we're not going to just take what we have. We're going to build on to what we need and kind of prepare you guys for the future over at Honda.
Yes,
So,
there's only a few walls that are going to stay existing, and the rest of it's going to go down. And even the stuff that's staying there, they're going to refresh and refurbish. So it's going to be an all new piece, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
so besides obviously hearing the excitement about a new building, sounds like it's ready to go now in your mind.
Yes.
What else are you excited about the Honda brand? What's going on with Honda that gets you fired up?
So we've got a lot of our models that just got refreshed. The CRV, the HRV, the Civic, the Accord's new. I mean, they're really. We've got a Trail Sport Pilot. They've got a hybrid. They've got the Prelude coming back, the 2-door hybrid Prelude.
There you go.
The coupe, and Honda's really doing some exciting things with their product right now, and we're finally getting some inventory.
There you go.
As of COVID, we were had 15, 20 Hondas on the ground, and everybody had to wait on their car to come in. Now we've got 70 to 75 on the ground, and we're selling them, and people are excited about it. And it's funny though, because you go through COVID, and that's when I started here. But before, you were selling cars the old way, and now we're back to that. And I think it's great, because I want the inventory available for the customer. I think that's important. I don't want them to feel like they have to take this one because it's the only one available. So it's nice to be able to suit the customer and give them something that they want.
That's a good point, because the color options, it's like, I guess I'll take the red one, although I really want the black one, right? So you're seeing now with that more inventory, the customers are going to have more options with you.
Absolutely.
There's more available on the ground to look at.
Exactly. It just gives them more choices, and they don't feel that pressure of, well, if I don't take this one, I'm not going to have one for a few months. So I love the fact that we're getting back to, they can walk around and pick that color that they want, like you said, the trim level and the color of the interior, and then they can be excited about their purchase.
What's Honda's stance on the EV hybrid gas conversation?
So very exciting.
Where's their money going?
Yeah, very excited. So in Little Tippecanoe County, we're obviously Tier 3, which what that means is we're the last ones to get the Prologue, but we should have it late fall.
Okay.
And the Prologue is a very cool all-electric vehicle. It's Honda's version, and it's like a size of a CRV, a little bit bigger. It's kind of an SUV style. And they're very excited about the technology behind it, the safety features, and they're really going to dive into that market, and I think that'll be an exciting time for us.
They do have an electric vehicle right now. It looks a little like a briefcase.
Oh,
And
Yeah, you got to be careful going over there.
It's a little scooter that you ride on, right? And those are for sale.
the Moto Compacto.
Those are for
Yes,
sale.
through our
Do you
parts
have any in
department.
inventory?
Yes, we sure do.
Okay.
They're about 40 pounds to carry. It looks like a suitcase, and then it unfolds into a little motorcycle that has a 12-mile range on one charge, and it goes up to 15 miles an hour.
That's cool. Have you ridden on one?
I have, and our owner actually bought one from me. So
Ooh,
he's got
there
it
you
for,
go.
I don't know if his kids ride or he rides it, but he has one. So
He rides it with all of his work
maybe
he's
he
doing.
does.
Yeah.
Maybe he does.
So Todd, just in wrapping up here with the build of Honda, share with people too that are listening what also that means for inventory. With obviously an investment that the Romans will make in the Honda storefront, what's that going to do for your inventory? I know you touched base on having more selection, but typically manufacturers incentivize the building. Have you got a unit count of what's
Absolutely.
coming?
So they're actually going to double my allocation. So we should have around 130 to 150 on the ground at any given time.
It's amazing right now with everything going on too.
And the beauty of it too, Zach, is that if anybody's familiar, obviously, with our footprint of the way the lot's laid out now, we've got two little buildings that'll be gone, and it'll be all parking lot. So you're going to have so much room for parking. These new vehicles and all the different makes and models and colors. We're going to make it all pretty. They're going to redo the blacktop. So I'm just uber excited about what's to come, and I just think that Honda's doing all the right things right now. So.
We got a little game we're going to play to kind of end it. If
Love
it's that
games.
time, I think
It's
it
that
is.
time.
So
I've been
this
waiting
is,
all day for this, Todd.
This is Would You Rather. So I'm going to give you two options.
My
and
kids love this game.
And you got to pick. Okay. So first question, and this is going to be a tough one. So if you need to talk through your thought process.
Yeah,
so
I might need to think. So if
would
there's a
you
pause.
rather get a phone call that says you're going to be the GM of a Honda store, or I want you to play on my Major League Baseball team?
Wow. Both very spectacular phone calls, but I think remembering back when I was in Rochester, New York, playing AAA, and I got that phone call, and of course that was back before cell phones. This was 1997.
How'd
right?
they get landline?
There was a payphone in the clubhouse. Yeah, payphone in the clubhouse in the manager's room. Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Maybe they're calling you up right now.
There you go.
Pick it
There
up.
it is.
They're calling you
There it
again.
is. There's the call. I better take it.
There it is.
Don't mute that.
So when I got that phone call, it was totally unexpected. Devon White had hurt himself, and they said, "Hey, you're going to the show," and I just had to take a moment. And so my first call was mom and dad, and it was very emotional. And they came to Florida. That's where I flew, and they were at my first game. And then I faced the Astros. Chris Holt, I pinch hit in the 8th inning of the second game. I didn't play the first game. I was there the second game, And my first at bat, I got a base hit to left.
Wow.
And I'll be honest with you, I could not feel my legs when I was in the batter's box. I was that nervous. And it was just still the game of baseball. But it's just the whole expectation of it all.
Which brings me, it's a great segue into our
Yeah.
next would you rather question.
Okay.
So, would you rather step up to the plate, the bottom of the ninth, with 2 out, or would you rather go close the customer whose friend works in the car business?
Oh, either way, that gets me excited. So I think, nowadays I do love the challenge of a good close. But yeah, those situations back when I was playing and was a lot younger and my knees were healthier, that's what I lived for. I mean, I wanted to be that guy in that spot. So
Cool. That's all I have.
Well, Todd, we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in again as we kind of launch the Driving Relationship podcast. We're excited to have people like Todd. Hopefully, we can get you back on by the end of the year and kind of recap what's the building project, when's the break ground date, and obviously what that looks like. So stay in tune with us, guys, as we kind of touch base with you on the Honda project as well. So thanks for coming in today.
absolutely, this was great. Enjoyed it thoroughly.